ухаалаг эрхэм үзэгчдээ Монгол орноос гэрэл зяагийн саруул мэдчилж байна. Хязгааргүй цэлмэг тэнгэр сэтгэл дулаацуулмнаар та бүхэнд ариун их хайр ажлыг авчирч байхыг Монголын ард түмэн өрөөж байна. Доктор Диантай хамт үхлийн дараах амьдралыг судлах үе нэвтрүүлгийн 1-р хэсэгт тавтай морилно. Өнгөрсөн хэдэн 10 жилд олон мянган хүмүүс клиник үхэлд орсон тухайга мэдээлж, үзсэн гайхалтай зүйлсийн талаар хэд хэдэн ном бичигдсэн байдаг. Олон хүний хувьд клиник үхэл нь тэдний амьдралыг үзэх үзэл, амьдрах хэв маягийг нь гүн өөрчилсөн. Яагаад ийм гүн нөлөөтэй байна вэ? Клиник үхлийн үеэр хүн юу харж ойлгодог вэ? Өнөөдрийн нэвтрүүлгээр бид олон улсын алдартай айлтгагч клиник үхлийн мэргэжилтэн Diane Corcoranтай хийсэн ярилцлагыг хүргэх болно. 50 орчим жилийн турш Diane эдгээр ер бусын туршлагын талаар судалж хүмүүст зөвлөгөө өгсөөр иржээ. Хэдэн жилийн турш тэрээр клиник үхлийн судалгааны олон улсын нийгэмлэгийн захирал байсан юм. Тэрээр мөн бие үзэл үхэхэд клиник үхлийн болон ер бусын шилжилтийн туршлахиолчдын нэг бөгөөд Ахмад дайчдын клиник үхэлд орсныг судлах төслийн ахлах судлаач юм. Хатагтай Corcoran сувилгын ухааны удирдлагын PhD зэрэгтэй. Өнөөдөр хатагтай Corcoran клиник үхлийг юу бүрдүүлдгийг тайлбарлах болно.
An NDE is an exceptional experience that is universal and international and has about 15 characteristics. And you have 1 or 2 or 5 or maybe all 15 of these characteristics. Usually starts with some kind of a clinical crisis, and then you go on to have one of these characteristics, like floating out of your body, like seeing other spirit, and then it becomes a lifelong experience. This is not a trivial experience that happens like a dream. It's an experience that will change your life forever.
Хүмүүс клиник үхэлд орсны дараа амьдралдаа маш их өөрчлөлт хийдэг болохыг Diane анзаарчээ.
It takes a while to integrate a near-death experience into your life. So ordinarily, what you would think is very positive. For example, they become less materialistic and they move to different professions. They might have been, a bank president or something, and then they want to do something more altruistic. Many of them become chaplains, therapists, much more helping professions. So they do go on to do really helpful things, and it takes a while to integrate that into your life. And so it's something that we only hear about years later after they've had the time to do that. And some of their stories are remarkable.
Хэдийгээр хэн нэг хүн далдын эсвэл ер бусын зүйлсэд итгэдэггүй байлаач клиник үхэлд орох боломжтой гэдгийг хатагтай Corcoran олж мэджээ.
My father had an NDE after a heart attack. And I was with him when he was resuscitated. And he immediately told me about this experience he had. Now, he was not a man who believed any of those kinds of things. So he really told me about it and then said, I don't want to talk about it anymore. So it helped solidify my beliefs, because here was a man who didn't believe in any of those kind of paranormal things, but he believed that that had happened to him. So it was one more step in my development of understanding and living by the near-death experience and helping people who had them. After a while, there was no guessing, or there was no misunderstanding about near-death experiences. I believe those people that would tell me about them, and I just worked with them on their experience and owning their own experience.
While you were working at Darden Arm Hospital at Fort Hood, Texas, one of your patients had an NDE. She made a final request of you before she passed away. What was the request, and how did the incidents change you?
Well, the request that I never let patients be compromised by the doctors. Sometimes doctors and even clergy don't believe the patients, and therefore they make the patients feel bad while they're trying to tell about this exceptional experience they had. And mostly that's out of ignorance. They don't know anything about NDEs, so they just ignore it. And really, that's been my lifetime pursuit, is that nobody should have to be compromised or made to feel bad because they had an NDE and they tried to tell somebody about it. That's the same thing that happens to children. Children tell their parents one time, and if the parents don't believe them, they will not talk about it again. And sometimes they can go for years and years with being very isolated because they didn't have parents that believed them. And so it's, as I said, that's certainly my pursuit over the last 50 years has been to teach doctors and nurses and social workers about NDEs so they can support and help patients just know the experience. They don't have to believe in it themselves, but if they just will support them and let them own their own experience, that will be a big help in itself.
Нарны дулаан элчин дээж эрхэм амьдралынхаа төлөө бурханд талархахаар төр завсарлаа. Тун удахгүй эргэн ирэх болно. Клиник үхлийн талаар болон олон улсын клиник үхлийн мэргэжилтэн Diane Corcoranтэй хийсэн нэвтрүүлэгт маань эргэн тавтай морилно.
Do you think this experience is limited to people who believe in certain religions?
I don't. After all these years, the single most important question we get is who has near-death experience and who does not? Is it people who need them? Why do some people have them and some people don't? We really don't know the answer to that question. I have to believe that there's a greater power that has an answer to that question, and so I leave it up to them. Why certain people have them, many times it's really exceptional. There are people who don't believe in any religion who have near-death experiences. I know of a case where 5 people were in an accident and 4 of them had near-death experiences and the 5th one didn't. So there has to be a reason, but we just don't know what that reason is. And so, as I said, I have to leave that to the greater powers than I.
When you served in Vietnam as a nurse, many soldiers told you their near-death experiences. Can you give us a couple of stories that impressed you the most?
Probably one young soldier, and they were boys at that time, 17, 18 years old, and I was a brand new nurse, and it was 1969, so there's nothing that's been written about NDEs. And this young man called me over to his bed in the middle of the night. He'd had surgery. His wounds were not life-threatening, but they were in the field when he was shot. And he told me, he said, I've got to tell you something, but you've got to promise that you'll believe me. And he had tears rolling down his cheeks, and he was very emotional. And I said, absolutely, I'll believe you. And so he told me about this experience when he was shot. He felt his spiritual body, he said, come outside of his physical body. And he could see other spirits of other soldiers that had been wounded in this attack. And he mentioned, once that happened, there was no pain. And then he was going up, and he said, I saw lots of beautiful colors. And he just really talked about what we know is a typical NDE. But at that time, I didn't even know what a typical NDE was. So I really just told him I thought it was an exceptional experience, that he was very lucky to have had this experience, and I hope that he would treasure it as he grew older. And I've always wondered and wished that I could have gotten in touch with that young man to see how he was able to integrate it in his life.
Diane Corcorani талаар илүү дэлгэрэнгүй мэдээлэл авахыг хүсвэл дараах хаягаар зочлоорой. Corcoran консалтинцийг biz. Клиник үхлийн олон улсын нийгэмлэгийн талаар илүү дэлгэрэнгүй мэдээлэл авахыг хүсвэл дараах хаягаар зочлоорой. ians.org. Эрхэм үзэгчдээ, өнөөдрийн доктор Diane Corcoranтай хамт үхлийн дараах амьдралыг судлах буй нэвтрүүлгийн 1-р хэсгийг үзсэнд баярлалаа. 9-р сарын 17-нд бидэнтэй дахин хамт байж клиник үхлийн талаарх сонирхолтой ярилцлагыг үргэлжлүүлэн үзээрэй.